my name is Jackie Bohack, and I did cybersecurity for my topic. Alright, so this is how I created the website using Google Sites. I just looked up Google Sites online and found the website, clicked it, and then from there I signed in, and then I clicked start a new site, and then I clicked blank site, and that's how I started it. Alright, so for the differences and similarities between using Google Sites and HTML and CSS to create a website are that Google Sites was very clear and offered a lot of guidance throughout the creation process. Like if I wanted to insert a text box, there was a button right to the right of the website that just said insert text box, and that's all that I had to do to insert a text box. And it was the same for like inserting images, quick links, embedding something. It was all the same. It was all just to the right of the website, and I could just click on whatever thing that I wanted and just insert it. And then from there, if I wanted to change colors or text or font size or whatever, I could just do it as if I were on a Google Docs. It was kind of the same format. But if I were to have been doing this on HTML or CSS, it would have been much more difficult because I would have had to code everything, which means I would have had to code if I wanted to change the color of the font. I would have had to code to insert the text box. I would have had to code to change the placement of the text box, change the size, change anything, any little thing that I wanted to change or move. I would have had to code it, and it would have taken a really long time, and it would have been a little bit harder. And I'm sure I would have eventually come up with a similar result, but I don't think it would have been as good. So, this is how the Google site was stored, as well as how it was edited and accessed. For storing, I stored it basically, it was just under my account in the Google Sites websites as one of my projects, and it just kind of saved automatically. To edit it, it was really, really easy. All I had to do was just look up Google Sites, log into my account, and then my projects were just kind of there. There's only one that's in my recent projects. I would just click it, and then I would start editing from there. And basically, it would save all my changes, but I would have to publish it if I wanted to see all of my changes in the final result. You would have to keep republishing it if you wanted to make sure that all of your changes were in the final URL. And to access it, I had to either look up the link that I have for this, or I would have to click on a shared link that I have for this, and only people with the URI accounts can access it. But basically, I just share a link, and whoever needs it can access it from there. Okay, it's kind of really hard to briefly describe how I use the graphics and techniques to create them, but for many of the charts, I created them myself using data from the survey that I took of 20 responses. I would just take that data, move it into a Google Sheet, and then from there I would click insert chart, select the data that I wanted to use for the chart, and then I could edit the axis, the title, the colors, and all that other stuff once I inserted the chart. And that's how I could get that chart. I could screenshot the chart and then insert it into whatever Google site that I needed. For other visualizations like the YouTube video or the online banking process visualization, I would just search keywords on Google Images or on Google, and I would just find it really easily. For my infographic, I looked up adding graphics, and then it would just come up with what I wanted, and I would use keywords for that as well. Okay, questions A through F. I'm going to try to get through these quick. For A, it was naming the innovation and a clear description of its intended purpose. So I had cybersecurity. The purpose is to protect physical and digital computer systems from theft and damages, and it was created with the intent of protecting and maintaining the confidentiality of information, data, networks, and devices from unauthorized users. And with more and more people putting confidential information online, there is a higher need to keep that information safe and secure. Okay, for B is explaining a benefit of the innovation. A benefit of cybersecurity is that when it comes to personal information, you can have a little bit of a peace of mind knowing that there is a barrier between your information and cybersecurity threats. So basically, if you have like a password or two-step verification or security questions, you know that that's there if somebody were to try to access your information. So it's just a peace of mind. And that's probably one of the biggest benefits, other than like your information actually being protected. All right, part C is explaining the impact of the innovation that it's had on society, economy, or culture. So the implementation of cybersecurity, it's been on almost every website or app. Anything like banking related, any social media apps, anything with personal information or company information on it, there's usually a password or two-step verification or something like that on it. And basically, it has just led to a more comfortable society in putting their information online. And the more people are comfortable in putting information online, the more there's a risk to have that information threatened. And it's not great that this is the reality, that this is the impact of cybersecurity, but the more there is said to be secure ways of keeping information safe, the more people will put on the internet, and the more it's going to be risked just because there's more on there. And cybersecurity measures do get better, but they aren't perfect still. Okay, so D is indicating one field that the innovation has impacted, or the potential impact. So I said cybersecurity affects fields in like the realms of finance, business, healthcare, government, military, basically anything that is in some way online, no matter if it's public or personal or private. Cybersecurity measures have to be present to keep the user and the creator information safe. And this is where I use that bank example. Like if a bank were to decide to create a website, then they would need to keep both themselves safe and the users safe, the users that try to access their accounts from there and move money. It all needs to be secure and safe. For E, I said how a user interacts with the innovation. So basically, a user can interact with the innovation in many different ways. It depends on the level of security that you want as an outcome. So if someone like were a college student and they wanted a lot of security, they would use two-step verification on their sign-ins because they don't want their finances getting leaked. But like a kid with a new email would just use a password because that's all that they really need and all that they really would want. So it just depends on how much you want. Okay, so this for F, how the innovation incorporates programming and the internet. So it incorporates programming because program is using a computer system to solve certain problems, and some cyber threats can be seen within coding, and programming can be used to identify those flaws in systems and work to solve them. And then for the internet, without the internet, there would be no reason to put information on computers and no reason to keep that information safe if there's no information on computers. All right, so for the graph from my survey, I use Google Forms to collect data by getting basically all different types of responses. And in my questions, I had like scales, I had free responses, and I had multiple choice. And I shared all those responses or all those questions in that survey to as many people as I could to get the data. And then the relevance to my topic for the little banking video, basically it was exactly what I wanted, the impact of cybersecurity on society. It was perfect. It was in an auditory visual way that I didn't already have on this website. I didn't have anything auditory, and I thought that that was a really great way to add to the project. And then for the reference page, last page, I found the most useful website to be the CISA website, which is a cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency. I found this to be a great website to use, especially when I first started this project, because there was an overview, there was a topic about CISA's role in cybersecurity, and then there's so many other little hyperlinks on here that go into subtopics of cybersecurity. So like if you wanted to learn a little bit more, you could find more and more. And okay, that's all the topics that I've covered, and I did cybersecurity for my project. Thank you. Please email me if you have any questions.